keeping up. I don't know about you, Brooke or Rania.
I mean, we made it on time. We have, like, it was great. We made it exactly on time, so.
Nice.
We had a great time.
Good.
Yes, that was fun.
So Rania, are you going to share your screen with the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's going to facilitate getting everyone to figure out who's talking. I think if you haven't set it
Our
up.
group is ready to talk. Each team member. We had only 3. I don't know how many other the groups had, but aside from me, there were 3 folks in our group, and each person is going to take one of the questions. If that's okay.
I guess I'll be happy from our group to do the first one. Is it all right if I begin? Okay.
Go for it.
So again, we our task was talking about members and membership. One of the biggest things we were talking about was that it was almost wrong to call it membership because we don't feel siloed. As a member myself, I think of the students as members, and I think of myself as a mentor and a volunteer in addition to like a dues paying member who plays squash. I think the community does a great job of, I guess, roping you in to the full community. But members, are in this sort of very stark term, are subsidizing programs with our fees and scholarships, primary source for mentors and board members, and are in a lot of cases through fundraisers and things like that, helping forge some of those relationships. But again, all these other groups are as well, business connections. And yeah, again, we're kind of bringing, just like all the other groups, like the students are bringing a different and hopefully varied point of view to the community. So I think that's kind of sums it up.
Good job, Tracy. Is Lucas, or I think at least you're going to take the 3rd slide, is that right? So does that leave the 2nd one for Lucas?
Yeah, I'm happy to do the second. So how do the other programs at PCS impact members? Well, one of the themes that went through all 3 of these questions that Tyler helped us extrapolate was this idea of overlap. Tracy mentioned how she would come early for her squash sessions to overlap with the end of Raleigh Portland and Junior Squash League, just to sort of see them in the building using it and feel the energy there, and those informal interactions that come with that, either sticking around to socialize with other members or with the students. Elise talked about the idea of having members inspire and influence students through mentorship bonds or volunteering, and also vice versa, the students really inspiring the mentors, which brings them back into the building for things more than just squash, and for and getting them involved in fundraising and volunteering as well. And then the other thing to think about is I think with this is that these members are the membership of today, but those kids in the junior programs are ideally going to be the members of tomorrow. So the membership is going to grow and change throughout this process.
All right, Elise, you're up.
So we talk about how can members benefit from this project. So we thought this project can benefit members by creating connection, bringing people together. So like we say in our breakout, so it can be intimidated for someone who never maybe done or play squash before to just come in the building and then feel like is part of that community by doing things he never done before, by creating connection. So having a cup of coffee with someone is like, it's just like opening a door for someone that can feel welcome. By a cup of coffee, you can bring the person out. It can feel that connection and then think like, okay, I can be part of this community. So we talk about the breakout space where people can break out, like Tracy can come and then do his architect work there and then play squash, or after the winter league, they need a space where they can just go have that connection, talk, and so that can be a breakout space too. Home away from home, that was a point for Tracy too. A low for awareness of what is going on the building. Some people, they have much time working and they don't even know what's going on out there. By having that space, they can be aware of what's going on by connecting with people. Provide a space that isn't just for squash, so no limiting the pool of people to be involved. So same to open the door for anybody that can just come and then be part of the community. That's pretty much it, I think.
Great. All right. I just added that. Look at that. It just popped up. A cup of coffee can open a door. I like that one. All right. Next.
Right? Our group, get cracking.
All right. I'm going to do the first slide. So what do the role of the after school programs play in the larger PCS community? We actually just started by going through the youth programs, which I don't need to do in specific details here, but basically in a nutshell, PCS sees students as young as 3rd grade all the way through high school, and then our Rally Portland program will support students through age 25. So year round through the summer, we have summer camps for 4 or 5 weeks. And in non-COVID times, students are here every day after school and on the weekends. So our group talked about just how the students sort of are like the center of gravity or the heart of a lot of what goes on here. And the fact that we have students of such varying ages in the building really differentiates PCS from any other organization that we could really think of, and for sure any other like squash facility. So that's sort of the role that we thought it just makes PCS really different, and sort of draws people in a different way other than just playing squash. Did I miss anything, anyone?
No, that's good.
All right.
I'm on the next one. So this is about how the other programs at PCS impact the after-school programs. And we had a little trouble fleshing this one out, but we started with the most obvious. The membership adult community do serve as mentors for the students and continue to open doors and create a broader sense of community. We're particularly interested in the fact that this community has many professions so that they can support the students as they grow and need internships in summers or during college or whatever. There's long-term contacts. It also makes it a more real community because there are a variety of ages and welcomes families, and it's not just a specialized club that is a narrow silo, as we were talking about. Also, we talked about the partnerships impacting the school programs. Learning Works helps to build a program, and it brings the students to the after-school program. And it's the source of the Rally Portland students. We were trying to think of other partnerships impacting this, and kind of leave that out as something further to be discussed.
So we talked about how can the after school program can benefit from the project at PCS. We talked about how students spend most of their time like PCS, like 3 days a week. And because they like PCS offer transportation and all that, we were thinking about like
You there, Sunday? Oh, you're on mute. Sunday?
Let's all do it.
Mute.
I'm going to get a t-shirt because in the last 2 days of facilitation, I've said it 50 times. You're on mute. She's still talking. She's talking away.
Sunday, we can't hear you.
Sunday.
Can anybody unmute her?
Oh, good question.
Oh,
She's on
she's on a roll. Okay, well,
I can jump in. We just talked a little bit about how with students in the building, so many afternoons, PCS provides transportation from school and home for students. So there's not a lot of family interaction, and there's not really a space currently for like parents to come and like sit around and talk to their friends while they're waiting for their kids to wrap up their programming. So we talked a little bit about that. And then, yeah, Askar had mentioned that he would like to see some like smaller rooms for doing homework. So some quieter spaces as well to facilitate homework and smaller group gathering.
The only thing I might add to that team is the fact it looks like you have it, but cooking's such a popular part of the
Cooking, yeah.
program.
yeah, we have a
Yep.
kitchen, promote health and wellness cooking and nutrition program.
Yeah.
These are all the things that everybody thought would support support better the environment
Yeah.
of the after school program.
Right.
That point about not just one big space, like thinking about the different scales of spaces that might be included is really an important one.
Yeah.
And
For
not
different functions.
and people want quiet heads down time versus
Well,
social gathering opportunities.
we'll just have to, when we get into the program, we'll have to look at, we won't be able to have it all. So
Right.
how can we leverage other parts of our building too to create those quiet moments as well?
There's ways to even allow for slightly different scales of space within a flexible space. I think it's just a really good point. It makes me think of all sorts of solutions that we've used in other projects. So just hearing that kind of thing I think is really helpful.
Cool. Thanks.
Now is definitely the time to sort of be thinking about all these things. There's a time for editing later, for sure.
Okay, socializing team. Who wants to take the first one? Anyone? Chris, maybe? Chris, Lorian, you guys want to jump in?
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Okay, so what role does socializing play in the larger PCS community? There's a lot here, but it's sort of, we felt like it's one of like the biggest parts of it. It's like it's a socializing where people learn from each other and come together and share their experiences, and they may be there for one thing or another, whether they're there to do their homework or to as a member playing squash, but they're in the same place at the same time. And this, any socializing there is just really enriching everyone's experience, whether you're a member meeting young students or whether you're a student like learning something from an older person. There are a lot of elements to this, right? You know, finding mentors and sharing your experiences, learning by engaging and watching and interacting and just listening to other people talk. You know, having a big space for everyone to socialize in will, one, expand the amount of time they spend at PCS and just create so much more opportunity for interacting, which is where the real enrichment comes from. I'm probably jumping over and answering all three of our questions at the same time.
That's great. I think for me, it's not so much what I bring to the workshops that I do, but what I get from the kids. You know, that's why I keep showing up. It's because, you know, the kids are so ready and willing and motivated that you just feed on that. And the love and support that you get from them, the knowing that how much they appreciate what you do, what you're bringing to them. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, is that what's the great motivation is? And I think with the space, as more people are able to access the, you know, what's happening there, then it, you know, the sky's the limit. I think it'll just continue to be this great positive thing, but on a whole nother level.
Totally agree. Okay, Luis, do you want to continue on summarizing? Maybe you can take this slide too, like tell us how.
I can talk about this one.
Or Lauren.
So we talked about how do participants from different programs socialize in PCS. I said that I don't really see that. Like, I don't think there's a lot of overlap. Like when I was in high school, like if I met somebody who's a member or something, it was just because like I happened to walk by Barrett who was talking to a member and he made me say hi, and then that was it, you know, like nothing extended after that. And so I felt like there was not a lot of overlap unless it was kind of like something that was organized, or like there was a little bit of overlap between like I would tutor the middle schoolers, so I got to be part of like that their program, but that was, I don't know, just like it organized and very like specific activities, but a few good ones we had mentioned were potlucks, the coastal challenge, just like different events. Yeah.
Right. I think we all agreed that adding this space would be a huge step towards getting different groups that use PCS to interact more.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Lorian, because overlap keeps coming up as people's one of their favorite things about PCS, but I agree. There aren't many tools to create that overlap currently.
Well, space, that's the issue. I know during the workshops, we're all gathered in there together in the kitchen. And, there's not enough space to really mingle and engage and speak to what's actually taking place in the time in which it's taking place. So that's where the space will be. There's so many assets to having space. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you guys touched on this, but we also this is why mostly socializing is, I think, the main aspect of why the space should happen. And this is, as Chris said, was the easy question. So we were thinking that, or we are collectively thinking that it's going to be a central space where people can have comfortable seating or food and snack and sit down after the programs. It will allow for more community gathering. Like different people from different backgrounds will bring in their experience to the space.
Did they get transfer? Oh, no, not yet. Okay.
It will encourage people to spend more time at PCS, and it will also, I think Lauren said, it will feel more natural to come there without having to play squash and stay before and after your program. A place where you can come hang out, do your homework, and make a friend without having to come for a specific program. A safe place, a cool place with Wi-Fi to sit with your computer, a place where you can sit and watch the squash game if possible without having to be playing, offering cooking workshops to members of the community, and it will help bring more events to the space of the PCS, and it will encourage creative events as well. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
No, Ron, you inspired me. I think Chris mentioned that, wouldn't it be nice if you were able to view a little bit of what was happening on the court? And the only thing I'll throw out is that there is the sanctuary abuts a flat roof where we'll be building. And if you really wanted to get creative, you could cut some big windows into the side of the sanctuary, perhaps, and have like a second level mezzanine seating down into the courts. That's
something else.
Off the wall idea.
Something else I had said was like, even if it isn't possible from this new space we're creating, it would be less weird to go and like watch for a few minutes, like other people playing or like competing.
Can you say that again, Lorian?
Yeah, so even if it isn't possible from the new space that's going to be created to watch directly into the squash courts, it would feel more natural to kind of go in and watch what's happening on the courts and then maybe go back to whatever you are doing.
So that's about adjacency. That's sort of getting into the next session where we start to talk about specifics of the spaces, but that's an interesting point also.
Okay, special events team. This one, I'll take the first two because we don't really have many special events. And I had Alari, Kifa, and Zoe who had some great inspirational content about what we could add to our program. So on the first slide, what roles do they play? Well, we have 2 potlucks a year that bring our families into the space. That's pretty much it, but that's a chance for people to express themselves culturally and personally through food, and it's always a great time. We usually pull a couple hundred people for those. And the squash ball is our big formal party where people get all dressed up and we have a celebration once a year. But other than that, we don't have many special events. We got ahead of ourselves a little bit thinking about what might happen, but then we remembered that was coming in a later slide. So we can move on. Everyone, currently parents, students, volunteers, staff, members, but a chance to bring in the public a little more often, neighborhood groups, cultural groups, other nonprofits, I guess you could say. And then how can special events benefit from this project? Alari, are you with us? Would you mind sharing your point just about building trust with parents? I know Alari's.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. As I was saying, the community here in Portland is still kind of like they're into groups. When you look into the Africans, you see them. They look like they're all together, but they're all in groups. You have the Somalian group, you have the Sudanese groups, and you got the North and the South, and then you have the Congolese, you got the Burundians, you have there is kind of like they're all also tend to group together. I guess it's because maybe the language easier communication through their languages and cultures and what have you. So I was just saying that in order to sort of like bridge the gap with all these different people is to try to do a little more of sort of like advertising slash community bridging vis-a-vis interactions, or trying to get them involved in a way where they can be more comfortable to trust the squash counselors, the squash educators, to allow their kids to come and play without them, without them being there. Because they, as I said, they were very hard, not easily, we don't easily trust people that we don't know with our kids. And as African in general, I can speak from my own, which is, from Sudan. So I'm just saying there should be a way where we can sort of like educate the public, our community, and try to get them more involved. Because once the parents know a little bit about it, they will definitely be more comfortable letting the kids come in and learn and play. And so yeah, so that's what.
That's a really, really important point that no one has really made so eloquently. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Zoe, would you like to bring together the two worlds and the two support systems for our students?
Yeah, like very similar to what Alari said. Like we all know that kids that are coming to Maine or from the immigrants community, they are living like two different values, two different lives. So, and I know like Barrett mentioned that they provide like a wonderful support for youth, but also like these kids will act totally different when they go back home. So again, to what Alari just shared, is that the more we educate our parents, the more we call them in and show them that this is part of the new life by giving them these tools and letting them know what their kids are experiencing here, helping them trust the space more. I think this is how we can support our youth, not to have this dual personality, to live in one place as one person and in the other as a different person. Is this what you wanted me to share?
Exactly. And what you said about support, rather, we're about forming a community support system, and the parent, to have the parents be part of that support system and for it to be one united support system, rather than the kids feeling like it's two different value sets. It was a powerful point you made.
Exactly. And I think the reasoning why some of our parents feel that they do it out of love for their children, out of not knowing. And again, it's so hard to change if you don't know what you're changing to. And the more education and the more awareness we give, and it's our responsibility to bridge both ways, like to the new community or new Mainers that are coming, but also to the host community where we share these experiences that our neighbors or the new Mainers have.
Yeah. On another note, we have so much to share, and currently we share meals twice a year as a whole community, but culture and families have so many more ways that they could express themselves. So Kifa, do you want to talk a little bit about bringing art, music, storytelling into the space?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think, like art field is very important, like the math, because this is the key. like creative projects. Telling a story is very important. It makes it easier for people to understand the cultures about the others and who we are. And also, if I want to talk about that poetry reading, sharing that the languages. For instance, I talked about Discover Arabic. Many people, they don't know exactly about the Arabic culture. They know maybe just only one thing, two things, three things, but they don't know about the arts, about the music, about the beautiful stories in the history. I gave an example about, this dish, Spanish dish we call paella. Paella, we have it here in Portland. And paella, it's in history that came from Arabic culture. It's called baqaya in Arabic, that means leftovers. So using art is very important in any communities that need that. Another thing I talked about how important is that for making art. For instance, I worked with in a community in Bedford. 3 generations shared that working on large scale canvas, and the people, they put their hope, dreams, wishes, also that fear and panic. It was about the environmental and social problems. I think because this is this wonderful community squash combined between movement, like sports, and also between art. So many things to talk about.
So many things. Exactly. But Kifa, one thing you did say was it's about balancing the learning with the fun too. So
yes,
go ahead, Kifa. Finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Well, Zoe, you had a nice story just about a game that's often played in coffee shops.
Yeah, and don't put me on the spot. I don't know the name in English.
Okay.
I have to go and look for the name, but I know it's very well known in Egypt and Lebanon and Syria and so many other areas where you see these crowded places, and I believe in Palestine, Israel too, like they have these coffee shops where they go and they drink coffee and tea and they compete against each other. So it's something to bring people together. And again, it's beautiful, like if, PCS can provide that, like not only this, but the idea of bringing people together. Like I'm doing my master's in social work, and I know that so many communities can come together doing a big art project. And then even when the art project is gone, these people will still come together. So again, because they created these relationships, these connections together. And I hope, you can provide that. This would be wonderful.
Thank you. And we, well, for starters, we had Lebanon, Iraq, and Sudan represented our group. The first half of our meeting was in Arabic, so I hope many languages are spoken in this space.
Sorry to interrupt, Barrett. Is that a domino you're talking about, Zoe? Domino?
No, not domino. It's طاولة. طاولة اللي بيلعبوها بالزهر. طاولة زهر.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the English name either.
Yeah, I don't know. So there is a dice and 2 colors of stones, 2 different colors of stone. I don't know what the name. I used to know.
Yeah, so it's kind of look like a dice sort of like
I'll send you the name.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We will, just to keep us, just to wrap up, because I know we're a little over time, but you know, we also just want a space for gatherings after leagues and matches and tournaments, a regular calendar of events where we might offer childcare, and there might be an exhibition match going on and hors d'oeuvres and some food in the other room. Language groups, community meetings. I mean, it's obviously endless, and between the people we have on this committee, we could create a pretty outstanding schedule of events and activities. So plenty here.
Have you done international like dance, like different I know in Sudan we have so many different traditions, dances. Did you do anything like that, like salsa, for example? You done salsa?
Yeah, Larry. I mean, you know, I think you know I'm a salsa dancer, but we
I miss salsa dancing. I used to do that every weekend when I was living in California.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I think Perkins and Will gets the point. We will have fun in the space.
Well said, Barrett, and everybody. I mean, I think that, so we're a little bit over time. Do we have time to do the last exercise? It's a like a one-time exercise. It's if people have 2 more minutes, we go for it.
Sure, let's go for it. If people need to hop off, thank you so much for your time.
All right, so Rania, if maybe you'll just shift over. We're looking to just get some different kind of feedback where we just sort of everyone say what you think right away, or write it right away. So we'll create like a word cloud. So what word describes the PCS identity? So sorry, wait, did everybody go to Menti?
Yeah, you need to go to menti.com for whoever didn't attend the first session, menti.com.
And the code is right at the top of this page here.
4223671.
So if you go to that website, you should be able to just type in the words that come to mind. And I think you should be able to do more than one if you want. And it will help us kind of get this word cloud sense of what the PCS identity is. And you can just sort of see it. And if you, there's, you know, if you see a word that you think is right on, type it again, you know, that will help us understand sort of what rises to the top.
I'm
I think
sorry.
this idea of home place versus just home. I've heard that a couple times. And I think that's an interesting term.
I am. Where do you write that? Where? I'm a little lost over here.
You have to go to menti.com.
Oh, Menti. Okay.
You type in menti.com, and then there's a code 4223671. I can put that in the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm actually in my phone, so it's gonna be a little bit too complicated right now. But I can I say it out? Can I just say it?
Yeah, say it out.
Say it, and Barrett will write it for you. Or someone else can write it for you.
I can write it for you, actually.
Okay, so you know, the first thing I think of PCS is I would say collaboration, engagement, let's say educational. Let's see what else. Fun place.
Fun. I see fun in pretty big letters here, and home.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. You are not the only one, Alari.
Oh, good.
You said engagement, educational, fun, and there's one word.
Collaboration.
Collaboration.
I'm not sure how many folks we have left on the call here. We have 11 responses. Has everyone been able to write something? You can write more than one thing.
It didn't allow me to write more than one thing. I don't know why.
Oh.
Oh, really?
You can yell them out too, Marion.
But anyway, if you see fun and home, that's more than one response in there. So
Yeah. Fun seems to be rising to the top. Got bigger than community. Home is still pretty big. Educational. This is great. So, Vanya, I think we just quickly switch back to the presentation. Thank you all for participating in that. The last thing we'll leave you with is the homework assignment. Right, Vanya?
Yes, that's the homework.
Yeah, so what we would just love you all to do is send us photos that represent what you imagine the new edition will feel like. And the important part there is what it will feel like. So you could have a picture that is nothing necessarily to do with exactly what might happen there, but if it conveys this idea of what it feels like, that's what we want to know from you in an image. And so, yeah, there you go. Email your homework. We haven't gotten any emails as of this afternoon. I checked. Note that it's PCS squash, like there's not an extra S. I don't know if anyone tried to email and maybe wrote the wrong email. It's kind of a squish of PCS and squash, so it's only one S.
Yeah, PC Squash, that's our handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get a bunch of emails now that we have homework, Tyler.
All right, well, that's the idea. And if you have any other, follow-up comments or anything, feel free to, if you figure out the name of that game, Zoe, shoot us an email. If anyone thinks of something or wants to share, please shoot us an email. But yeah, if you guys could do that, it should be, take a little bit of time online or in your own, photo stream, whatever. Send us an image of what you think it will feel like.
Also, feel free to write a description of any